if I can tire you out, you'll give me something, particularly if you get desperate, right? I've got a couple of good chokes and a couple of good arm locks, but I never immediately go for an arm lock or a choke if I'm in side control. I'm gonna go ahead and hold on to you for a minute and see if you struggle. And then if you struggle, I may have to transition, okay? If you don't struggle, then I'm gonna start seeking the arm lock, okay? All right, so let's talk about these escapes. Escape number one, this is the basic one. Now, Caleb's gonna be holding on to me however it is that he wants. Doesn't matter if his hand's on this side or under my neck. It's fine. He should have this hand, elbow in my hip, that knee should be in my hip. He wants to control my hips. First one, I'm gonna get this elbow on this, or grab some uniform and get this elbow under his body. Right under his neck is fine. I'm gonna grab on some other clothes and I'm gonna get this elbow under his body and I'm gonna start working to get this position. He's gonna try to stick to me, right? Now, I'm not strong enough to just bridge him up because he's holding on to me pretty strong, right? So that's gonna make me tired, okay? So I'm just gonna bridge and he can't stop me. Nothing he can do to stop me from bridging. So once I bridge, I'm gonna be able to make a little bit of space. So I'm gonna go up. Now watch, I'm gonna try to hold that space here. Hold on tight, don't just stay, right? I bridge up, he's holding on tight. I make this space, then I get this one knee in. Now, he's gonna be trying to get back into some control. But I got my elbow and my knee are touching. I don't know if y'all can see, but my elbow and my knee are touching. At this point, I'm gonna start to frame. This hand's gonna push, this hand's gonna make kind of a right angle with my elbow. Right? Maneuver the knee a little further. Then I'm gonna keep maneuvering him until I make to the guard. This is a great place for me to fight. Who knows that simple escape? Who's seen it before? All right, get with your partner, practice 2 times. By the way, if I get in trouble, I always go back to the basic one. But there's a lot of cool advanced ones, okay? The feet are essential. I have good base on my back, but what if my feet come off the ground? Am I able to push at all?
No.
You must have the feet on the ground in some way. If you ever find yourself doing this, you're probably doing something weird. All right, so again, doesn't matter if he's got me in this position or the head or hand around the head, whatever he's comfortable with is fine. For this one, I'm gonna drive this hand underneath his body. Now, even if he keeps his elbow on me and he keeps that knee tight, he can't stop this hand. Now watch, I'm gonna turn a little bit. Watch this, hold me tight. Watch this space, watch this right here, watch. Not a lot, but it's a little bit. And he's holding here. But now watch, once I get here, I can make this arm and this leg tired and he can't resist me. Hold tight, watch. You guys see how I'm just moving my hips? And I walk my body out and I pull him up on my shoulder. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I get this back grip. This one can be somewhere up here or up here is fine, but this is the important hand. This hand has to get to the mat. I'm gonna bridge high. He's sticking to me, right? I'm gonna bridge high. Now, I don't have him yet. I gotta start pushing this hand, right? I arch, and then I roll right over the top, and now I've got him in side control. Okay? Does that make sense?
Sure.
All right. This is bridge and roll. Bridge and roll. Again, we're on the opposite side. I want to control. By the way, if this is an MMA match, had an Alexander moment there. I don't want him to elbow me, so I might hold on to this arm, and I might want to try to grab in a different way, but I don't want him elbowing me, right? So I can close this elbow out and hold on. The bottom line is, again, he's trying to pinch me with his knee and his elbow, right? By the way, what if he wants to take the mount? Can he kick over? I'm blocking that leg, so this is pretty good for that. So again, I bridge, first, I make the space, I walk out, hold, I bridge, and this is the hand that's on the back, that's gotta go. I start bridging, he can't stop me. He can push hard against my body, but he ain't gonna stop me, okay? Once I get the bridge. I'm gonna pull this shoulder down, and I'm gonna push this hand up, and I'm gonna roll, and I'm gonna take the top, okay? I almost ended up in north and south, which is also fine, but most of the time I end up in side control. Questions on the fine points of that? All right, give it a try. Number 3. All right. Before we were sticking this hand underneath the belt and walking out this way. Okay? Locking the arm, protecting against the elbow in case of elbow strikes. This time, I'm gonna grab this way, and I'm gonna try to grab some material because I want to snug him up to my body. The advantage of this leg here, right, is to control me, and this leg can only go out but so far. So what I want to do is I want to minimize the leverage of this leg, and I want to get this underneath his head. All right? So now, this is what I'm looking for. I want to walk my feet towards this and see how I'm closing out this leg, right? And then I'm going to use this hand and I'm going to lift up. So again, he's holding, he's sticking. I can feel pressure here, right? Even if he goes around my head, it doesn't matter, right? Actually, this is somewhat better for me because, again, I'm going to roll him over that elbow. However it is that you grab him, make the space, walk the feet this way. If you walk the feet this way, it gets harder. See how this leg can post out? Now I got to push against that leg. I want to walk that leg in. Bridge, this hand goes to the ground. I bridge, I push, right? And then I jump. Let me take the top. Can we do it?
Sure.
You just switch the hands from belt side to head side, and that's the way you go. In the old days, people used to kneel into their knees would both be up, and you had lots of space. We stopped doing this because all you gotta do is grab this head, get this hand here, and you take out the trash this way. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Because the weight was so high, it was easy. Very few people do this style of side control anymore, unless they get a hold of the pants, and they get a hold of the shirt, and they're about to jump up into the neon. He jumps up in the neon, that makes sense, right? So anyways, I'm not gonna go over this one a whole lot because I don't see a whole lot of people needing it. But really what you're gonna do is you're gonna hold the head, right? I a lot of times will even grab my clothes so I've got something to base off of, and I pull this up. Then I'm just gonna take out the trash, like I'm gonna dump a trash can right over this way. That make sense?
Sure.
All right, that's an old school one. Jiu Jitsu evolves like you wouldn't believe. And for a while, we weren't even doing big swim because people were getting triangle choked so much. We've gone back to big swim, we just protect and we enter differently. So again, this is something, if you see it, take out the trash, all right? So now, if he puts his hand in this position, my hand is here, doesn't it seem natural that I'd try to make this escape? Right? If I do this one, it'll work, but I've given up something. Watch. I grab. I don't want to scare him, so I'm not going to try to do anything really with this, but I'm going to kind of pin this arm. I'm going to push this down and walk close. Now watch. When I roll, watch what happens. You guys see how he basically gave me the head and arm choke? Does that make sense? Who saw that before I rolled him? Who was like, oh, he's going to get a head and arm choke right there? You're like, oh, man. Here's the magic that I tell people about the head and arm choke. If I feel his elbow near my ear and my other arm's around his neck, I should be able to head and arm choke him. Now, if his hand's in this position and I try to do this, what is he thinking?
Head and arm choke.
Head and arm choke. He just hops right over and I get choked, right? So when I say, all right, I want you guys to hold him, immobilize him, look for a choke. If I go to shrimp and I put my hand like this, you should hop right over and tap it. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
If he puts his hand over here, you should, instead of doing this one or this one, you should say, well, hey, there's a head and arm choke right there. Now, not all head and arm chokes are the same. Not all of them work really well. But I could, in some way, try to make my head and arm choke here, but I don't have the right base. So I've seen a lot of guys that create a way to leverage. So you're here, this hand goes behind your leg, and you grab a hold this way and try to make that grip, right? Or you can use this leg to try to make that grip. It's not a great head and arm choke, but I've seen people that claim that will work. Why give them a chance to escape a good head and arm when you can just hold, bridge, you land, and here it is. Everybody work that move, okay? So again, if you see somebody that's doing this move for the head and arm choke, it's legit. I'm thinking taking the top position and entangling is gonna be better. Give it a try. All righty. Come over here, Jennifer. So remember we were talking about this one, right? If I can frame up, maybe grab some clothes, he's gonna think I'm gonna bridge and shrimp, right? But instead, I'm gonna reach under here and I'm gonna grab a hold of his arm. And then I'm gonna start turning him this way. And then when I get this foot in position, I've got what's starting to be an arm lock, all right? This is the position we're looking for, ultimately, okay? Yeah. Now, I don't find that to be a great arm lock because I don't have base. Did you just notice the more pressure I put on him, right? I start locking this, he starts hopping around. He can go all the way around and get side control from the other position, and I've lost my lock. I've seen a lot of people that are claiming this is the coolest lock from the bottom position, right? If we're gonna do that, right, why not go ahead and make our bridge and our escape, and then we start looking for a different arm lock. I just made a circle around his whole body, okay? There. Make sense? Sure. Now a lot of you guys are gonna try this. We're gonna make the escape, right? And you're gonna look for this arm bar and you're gonna be like, I just wanna do this, right? It's not the worst arm bar here, but you gotta give him all this space, okay? He's gonna immediately start making defense, right? I can still kick this over, but he can now drop his shoulder to the ground and turn, and I'm gonna probably lose it because I've given him too much time. I've given him too much space. So go for the other one. Okay, here. Remember, I was thinking about this arm lock. I'm like, oh, that looks kind of good. But stick with what we're working with, right? Walk him out, bridge him over. Right, this is the target. This one, right? I can come up here, knee around, and I fall right into it. I've stuck him. I've entangled, right? Entangled the arm, and I've made sure that he can't escape me easily. If I give him a whole bunch of space, he's gonna start to wiggle, okay? Go for a straight arm lock. Go for a straight arm lock from the bottom. Bridge him up, take the top. You're looking for the opposite side. Give it a try.